One, what up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Make no mistake about it, this border bill that has been, to some degree, well, actually, it's a bipartisan bill. This border bill has actually become probably the topic of the year. President Biden just spoke. And President Biden made it clear that the bill would likely pass if Republicans were not so afraid of Trump. So what we're going to be asking again, we kind of discussed this last night, but what we're going to be asking is the border really a crisis? If so, why are the Republicans stalling, or for the most part refusing to work with Democrats protecting the border? Now, folks on the left are suggesting, including Biden, that this is the toughest immigration bill we've ever had in history. And it does have some pretty tough language in it, such as, now if you want to request asylum, if this bill had passed, for those who wanted to request asylum, they would have to show that they could move to a different location in their own state. It's also it would end catch and release. So, and there's more to it. We'll continue on, but what we want to find out is, why do you believe Republicans are refusing to pass a bill that was co-authored by Republicans? Is it that the bill is really just that bad? Or is it perhaps, as Biden would suggest, that Trump is behind the scenes pulling the strings of key members of the GOP, making it so they're not going to work with the Democrats on anything because it may help Biden and hurt Trump? Are the Republicans actually putting party over country, as Biden is suggesting? Or once again, do you think the bill is so shitty they shouldn't work with it? That's what we're going to be asking today. You know how the program works. It is and always will remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are always my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. We make it clear we don't block, ban, or censor anyone on the program. So understand, whether you're in the box or in the comments section, the fact that you may disagree with the host doesn't mean a damn thing. So feel free to speak freely. We don't do anything to stifle free speech here. By the way, 500 plus of you in here already. Tap the screen, helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. Get your boy up to 5,000 if you will. So looking in the comments, AOC for president. Now you're talking about something that may start a civil war. AOC for president, I'm going to tell you right off the bat there in the comments, America's not ready for that. Looking in the comments, and by the way, on YouTube, we run a simulcast on YouTube. My boy, I salute you. Jay, appreciate the comment. Thank you for the support. Those on YouTube, definitely smash that like button. We know Trump told them, he even said he would take the blame. Trump over party and country. If that is the case, Joe Twiller in the comments, if that is the case, Trump over party and country, just going to ask flat out, what does that say about the Republican Party? If they're literally putting one man and their party over the entire country, if that is correct, what does that say about the GOP? Country Sad says, I can't see it. Oddly enough, my damn shirt is blending in with the name, so I do apologize for some of you on the names. Trump isn't trying to prove he's innocent. He's trying to prove he's allowed to be a criminal. Well, until Trump has his day in court, until Trump is actually convicted, he is not a criminal. He is not officially a criminal. Right now, he is currently a man being charged with a host of felonies, but until he's convicted, he's not officially a criminal. Looking at, I pick whoever is going to there for the U.S. says, I don't quite get your comment. I'm assuming you're saying you pick whoever is going to be there for the United States. What about this bill, though? There's a hell of a lot of aspects of this bill that members of the conservative party think is a good idea. Even the Union for Border Patrol that endorsed Trump suggests that this is a good bill. So why are there so many Republicans in Washington choosing not to go with this? Why is this bill not being voted in? Is it strictly Trump, or are there real genuine aspects of it? I'm going to go to the box, tap the screen, get your boy likes, and we'll start it right out with Country Hound Dog. Appreciate you guys that are holding on. We'll go straight to the box. Country Hound Dog, good afternoon. Why isn't this bill being allowed to pass if it actually does things to protect the border? Country Hound Dog, good afternoon. What say you?
How's it going, Handsome? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Hey, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Hey, listen, for your viewers that are saying AOC for president, I do want them to know one thing. Hold a minute. I want them to know one thing. This AOC got mad and threw a tantrum and actually stomped off the floor. And as she was just about to exit, actually stopped and was caught on camera, on mic, saying George Washington did not free the slaves on his first try. So, if she doesn't know her history good enough to know that George did not do that, she does not need to be president.
Country Hound Dog. Now, while you may make an interesting point, you do realize you opened up a Pandora's box by saying that to allow people to comment on all the historical inaccuracies that Trump made, such as Frederick Douglass still being alive. If you're going to hold AOC accountable, but you realize you just threw Trump under the bus with that comment, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And you know what? I think I think whoever is president should know. They should be top-notch American history type person. We learn from history.
So let me make sure I'm getting clarity. You said because AOC apparently does not know history, she should not qualify for president. You're admitting that Trump does not too. So are you stating that Trump also does not qualify to be president?
Let's give them both a history test.
That ain't what you just said.
I agree. And if he doesn't know his history, then maybe he shouldn't be president.
Okay, well, you didn't talk about the history test at first. You said AOC made a crazy comment, and that should disqualify her. But when I gave you one of Trump, now all of a sudden you're coming back with a history test. I could tell you about Trump talking about defending airports during the Civil War as well, which is some 100 years before the invention of the airplane. So I don't know about the test, but I'm saying if you want to comment on AOC making crazy comments in reference to history, Trump has no shortage of them himself.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And like I said, you're right. And right. I will say, if a president don't know history, then maybe they shouldn't know. Then they shouldn't be president. Maybe. Period.
Okay. All right.
That's all there is to it. Because if we don't learn from our history, we are doomed to repeat it.
True. So tell me more about this. So what about this bill? Why do you think the GOP is holding a stalemate? Why do you think they're choosing not to work with the Democrats on protecting our border, which they state is at such dire straits?
I think they're denying. They don't want to vote for it simply for the fact that they want to continue to let Democrats expose themselves for what they have been wanting for so long. Open borders that allow people to come in who we haven't vetted, we don't know who they are. Look what just happened with the New York cop. Got beat down by 6 illegals, and they got out with no bail.
Do you see what's going on? Do you see what's going on at the border as an invasion, as many are suggesting?
Yes, sir, it is. I talked to an old Army buddy of mine. He lives in San Antonio. He has family who is on the border, and this is his words, to quote Arnulfo Nino, who he's Mexican descent, but he was born in America, proud American, served 20 years in the military, no reason to lie to me about it. He said right now, the border is an absolute freaking mess.
So
he said, all they want down there, he said, forget the rest of the nation. He says, we want these immigrants stopped coming across the border because they are wreaking havoc on Texas by themselves.
So let me ask you this based on your statement. You mentioned cops being beaten, the cops being beaten in New York, that's playing all over right-wing media, and some even on CNN, they're showing these cops being beaten by these migrants. You mentioned you do believe it's an invasion. You mentioned your military friend talking about Texas, they're wreaking havoc on Texas. Now, I originally asked you, why do you believe the Republicans are stalling or refusing to work with the Democrats? And your response was because they want to expose the Democrats for what they've been wanting. You're telling me that the Republicans, in effort to expose the Democrats, are willing to allow cops to be beaten, a full-on invasion to happen, and Texas to be havoc to be wreaked upon Texas for probably at least 10 to 12 months or more before Trump can get in there. They're willing to sacrifice all of that, all of the American lives that come with an invasion, simply to expose the Democratic Party. Is that what you're telling me?
Unfortunately, I think a lot of Republicans, I think that's what they're wanting.
How does that make you feel about the Republican Party, that they're willing to sacrifice so many people according to their own predictions, a full-on invasion? They're willing to let a full-on invasion take place just to get back at the Democrats. What does that say about the GOP to you?
It doesn't say much for them. And as I've said before, I am critical of both parties. The Republicans have, they pushed back against Biden because for the longest time, let's step back and look what Biden did when Texas called in the National Guard and says, we're going to secure our own border. Biden sued them it took them to the Supreme Court right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And now the Republicans, the only way they can get, unfortunately, and I do say unfortunately, okay? I think that the only way a lot of Democratic voters are going to be woken up is by this being allowed to happen, and seeing the leaders in charge saying, look, this is what y'all wanted. This is what y'all voted for. We're going to let you have what you want.
Well, listen, country.
And then we'll look back up and say, okay, now what do you want to do about it?
But there is a bill on the table. I would agree with you if we were having this conversation 6 weeks ago, but there is a bill on the table. So when you say the Democrats are not going to wake up there is a bill to fix this, that the only reason it's not being fixed is because the Republicans won't accept it. I don't think the Democrats are going to overlook that.
My question is this, my pushback on that is this. Why have the Democrats waited so long to enforce immigration policies?
That is an excellent question. I'm not going to disagree with you that Biden and his administration dropped the ball on the border. Kamala Harris took, a year or two before she even went down there to admit there was a problem. I'm agreeing with you there, but that doesn't mean because they waited so long, it's okay to make folks wait another year. If you're correct in saying it's an invasion and wreaking havoc on Texas, and you're talking about cops being killed. Just to show how incompetent the Democrats are, you're willing to potentially sacrifice lives if this problem is as bad as you say?
As much as it sucks, and like I said, unfortunately, there are people who believe that you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
You're breaking American lives, country hound dog. You're playing games with American lives to make a point.
I agree with you. But like I said, I am critical of both parties. I don't necessarily agree with what the Republicans are doing on this. However, I think right now they feel their only recourse to get people to wake up is by not agreeing to this bill and forcing people to wake up and pay attention to what is actually going on. Okay,
so how would you respond to someone who says, we woke up the minute we came to you to the negotiating table to make this bill? They've already showed up to show they're willing to do something to address the problem you're talking about. That was the moment they woke up. Why wake me up if you're not cooking breakfast?
I think the only reason the Democrats have come to the table is because they're seeing how much of their possible voting base they are losing.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But I'm just simply saying, if the border is as chaotic and dangerous as the GOP is saying, if you got time to expose the Democrats and hold them accountable, and you can do that for a year, then your claims that the border is wreaking havoc is not true. Either that or you don't give a damn about the Americans that may suffer from the havoc. It sounds like we're more focused on exposing the Democrats than actually saving America from what you refer to as an invasion. That does not sound good.
And you're right about that, and I agree with you. And as per the norm, okay, we have both sides sitting up in Washington just arguing back and forth.
They're not arguing. They're not. They've come together and came up with a bill. There is no more argument. The bill is created from both sides.
Okay, let me ask you this. Are we, if the Republicans signed this bill, are we then going to round up all of the people who have been allowed in illegally and kick them out?
That's not in the bill.
If they put that in the bill, I would be willing to bet you dollars and donuts the Republicans would jump on it.
I don't know what the...
Here's why. Here's why. And I'm sure you can agree with me, the electoral college for presidential race is not perfect. It never has been, never will be. Okay? Whenever all these illegals come flooding in, and I'm just going to throw some numbers, these are not accurate numbers.
Okay, I'm going to have you move it on, because I'm going to have to move on. Go ahead and wrap it up. I'll give you the last word, but go ahead and wrap it up. Make it a little quick.
Let's say a state has 1 million people, so therefore they get 10 electoral votes. Now you bring in another 500,000, whether they're illegal or not. They get counted on that census.
Yeah.
Now that state has 15 electoral votes. And if that's a northern Democrat state like New York, Maine, Illinois, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to go to the Democrats.
Let me, I do got to move it on. Hold on, hang on. Hang on, Country Hound Dog, hold on. Let me just make it clear. If you're talking about bringing in immigrants so that this switches the electoral college or the numbers in favor of the Democratic Party, remember that the majority of these illegals you're talking about that may benefit the numbers for the Democrats, they all started in Republican states. If you're worried about the electoral college, quit shipping them up north. Make your point. I got to move it on.
I agree with you. But again, I think the Republicans feel the only way they can expose what the Democratic Party is doing is by allowing it to happen.
All right.
And sometimes that's unfortunate. It's kind of, I guess, like an economic reset in a way.
All right.
Go through a downtime before you can get to the good time.
Fair enough. Hound Dog, always a pleasure. Come on back through anytime. Good talk.
I'll see you around.
You too. Now, in regards to what he said, the issue I have, and I'll go right back to the box, and I do appreciate you folks tapping the screen, 700 plus in here. For you folks on YouTube, definitely ask that you smash that like button. It helps out the program on that side. So if you folks tuned in on YouTube, smaller audience, definitely hit that like button. Show your boy some support. But in regards to what he's saying, what I don't get is if you care about America, you care about the border, and it's as bad as folks suggest, vermin, poison in the blood of Americans, it's a full-on invasion. Why would you let that go on for as much as a year or more just to expose the Democratic Party? Now, like you said, sometimes there's got to be some people get hurt to make a point. That sounds great until it's your dad that's the officer getting his ass kicked or whatever. If the problem can be stopped, bringing up that it was allowed to continue for the past 2 or 3 years, I don't see where that makes sense. Let me know where I'm wrong. Going back to the box, or the comment section, 5,000 a day illegal crossings a day will be permitted in the bill. That is true. 5,000 a day before they can shut it down. An average of, no, it's 8,500 in a day, which is even worse. 5,000 per week on average. So it's still a lot of folks coming in. But the point we're going to make is that is significantly less than what is coming in right now. It is significantly less than what is coming in right now. Let me go back to the box. Tap the screen, as always. Get your boy likes up. You know what we always ask you to do. Once again, it is the one and only Moo Tuxedo Cat. Why are they stalling on this damn bill? Now, I know your answer. Nevertheless, you're always new to different callers that hear from you from the first time. I'm going to give you the floor, but why can't they agree to this bill that both sides worked on?
I mean, it is. It's Trump. Trump already said not to pass it because he doesn't want them to. So it's not really a question anymore of why they're doing it. We already know why they're turning it down. Plus, it's a Republican bill. It's their bill. It's literally a gift to Republicans, right? It's a Republican bill. Because I told you, Joe Biden is a Republican.
What? Wait a minute. What about Joe Biden? Hold on. Move. You know I got nothing but the most adoration and respect for you. What about Joe Biden says he's a Republican?
Look at the types of deals he makes. He gets rid of the child tax credit. He comes up with this shitty bill that's a gift to Republicans. He lets them eliminate most of his college debt relief. The dude is happy to give it to him too, because he gets money from the same donors they do.
College, move. College debt.
Republicans agree on the majority of policy.
Because he's a moderate move. College debt relief is a liberal. That's something that progressives want. That's not Republican.
He's not a moderate, dude. He's a straight up conservative. He has conservative policies. They're not liberal policies, my dude. Liberals don't advocate for genocide. Liberals don't give $14 billion to Israel to off women and children. That's not liberal, my dude. That's conservative.
Joe Biden, I've never heard anybody say, listen, I know you're a progressive. You're pretty far to the left. So somebody who is a regular moderate is pretty far right of you, but I think you're going a bit overboard suggesting that Biden is a Republican. I've never heard anybody say that.
He is. He's more than happy to concede to anything they want. He was a cuck for Joe Manchin, who we all know is a Republican pretending to be a Democrat, right? He has to do that to get voted in West Virginia. He's not a Democrat. He is a Republican.
What is your definition of a moderate, Moo?
My definition of a moderate?
Yeah.
Obama was a moderate.
And Biden working for the same outfit at the time. You think so? You see Biden as further left than Obama?
Yeah. So Mike.
Or right. You see Biden to the right of Obama.
Extreme to the right as Trump. Mike Pence is not as extreme to the right as Trump, and Joe Biden is not far left as Obama. That happens all the time with presidents and vice presidents.
Well, then maybe Obama was a progressive and Biden is a moderate.
No, my dude. Biden comes out with conservative policies to appease Republicans, and he's done nothing but try to appease them the whole time he's been in office, which is one of the main reasons why he's so far behind in the polls, because he's not trying to satisfy his base. He's been working with Republicans the whole time he's been in office.
But maybe that was the whole purpose of Biden's point of restoring the soul of this nation, is to make it so that as president, I'm not going to govern from a my way or the highway perspective, and I'm willing to reach across the aisle and concede some points with the other side. Because under Trump, we know Trump was
the points that you've conceded are the meat and potatoes of all your bills. You've literally given away all the most important parts of all your bills, except for maybe the CHIP Act. That's probably the only one that got through in its entirety. Everything else has been shredded to ribbons.
Give me some things that you think Biden should have done.
The child tax credit. That's one of the huge reasons why he's behind in the polls. People love the child tax credit. Okay. Even MAGA liked the child tax credit. And he let it go. He didn't need to, but Joe Manchin owns his fucking face, right? So he let it go.
Then that's not his fault. He didn't have enough power.
That is his fault. That is his fault. If you don't fight, he didn't fight that hard again. He barely fought against it. He was happy to let it go because Joe Biden's donors wanted him to let it go. He was happy Joe Manchin was cutting all his shit to ribbons because then he can blame it on Manchin instead of saying, Manchin, and that appeases Joe Biden's donors.
Let me just make sure I get clarity, because you say a lot of things that even I may disagree with, but a hell of a lot of people in the audience often it resonates with them. By way of yes or no for you folks watching, how many of you feel that Joe Biden is either Republican or too far to the right? Because that's what you're saying, that he's, I don't see it, but let me see in the comments by way of yes or no.
You don't see it. The guy's giving billions of dollars to off women and children, but you don't see it. You don't see it?
I don't think. Okay, let me make the point. You think Obama? Well, yeah, Obama would have. You're right. Obama probably would not be backing Israel because he routinely spoke out against Netanyahu.
Joe Biden is so weak. He's so weak that he has to release these silly little tapes of him cursing about Netanyahu because the dude is so weak he can't say it to his face.
Wow.
That's a weak ass president, bro. You're the president. You have the whole country behind you, and you can't even talk shit to someone's face. That's sad, bro. This is a weak ass president, man.
And you are a progressive, right?
Yeah, I'm a progressive, man.
Would you prefer Trump?
No progressive. Would I prefer Trump? No, I prefer Biden because there's only one reason I prefer Biden. Because when he loses or when he's done his next term, he will leave. He will leave without trying to tear down democracy. He will leave without trying to attempt a coup. That's why I'm voting for Biden. There is no other reason. There's nothing to like about Biden. He's a Republican.
Damn. So let me ask you this. If Trump did not have January 6th on his resume or a host of other comments like dictator on day one and shit like that, if it was just down to his policies in his resume on paper and it came down to a Biden-Trump rematch, who would you go with?
Well, you see, now the problem is, so it's not Trump that's the real danger. It's the people that come with Trump that are the danger. If Trump wasn't bringing in a bunch of Nazis with him, it wouldn't be a big deal because Trump's a moron. He doesn't know how to legislate. He can't do things on his own, okay? It's Roger Stone. And Roger Stone is the biggest threat to this country in, like, all history, right? Because the dude helped steal the election from Gore. He fucked with Nixon back in the day. Roger Stone is a Nazi. He associates with the Proud Boys and other Nazi organizations. He's the most dangerous man in this country. He's a constitutional scholar who came up with the electors plan because he knows how to change the law like that. He knows the workings of the Constitution. Steve Bannon will be with Trump. He's a straight up Nazi who advocates for the final war between Christians and Muslims. Steve Miller is a straight up Nazi.
Well, wait a minute. Before we go down, but hang on. Before we go down the list of the Third Reich's greatest hits, do you think Trump would be down with all activity you're talking about? Nazi type activity. You think Trump would back that?
Trump gets all of his methods from Roger Stone. You really think Trump came up with this whole shtick he has on his own? Trump's a moron. Okay, the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he does things is atypical of Roger Stone. Roger Stone taught him literally everything he knows. He operates on Roger Stone's MO.
Wow. All right, so Trump is dangerous to the country and Biden is a Republican. Is there anybody out there you would prefer run for office?
AOC for president, bro. AOC.
God.
AOC. I agree with you. AOC for president, man.
God. All right, Moo. That ain't gonna happen in our lifetime. Well, it might. I'll take that back. But she's
America's progressive, my dude. Never forget that. America is progressive.
I don't see it. And there's a lot of liberal cities out there say maybe San Francisco or something like that, but there's a lot of liberal run cities out there, and I'm not seeing all this progressiveness you're talking about.
You're not seeing it from the politicians. I said America's progressive. Those politicians aren't. Americans are progressive. Americans want Medicare for all. Americans want clean air. Americans want to be able to have clean water. I don't know any American who doesn't want those things. Americans are progressive.
I don't disagree with that, depending on where you're in the country. I don't think folks in Alabama are progressive. I think it depends on where you're at.
You don't think people in Alabama, so especially the black community, you don't think that they would like Medicare for all? You don't think that they would like to see pricing controls so these corporations can't gouge the shit out of your food? You really think people in Alabama don't want that? Even MAGA supports Medicare for all. MAGA's like 2 steps away from being progressive. If they could pull their heads out of their ass and stop supporting Trump, because I agree with MAGA when it comes to corruption. This government is extremely corrupt, right? And we need to get the money out of there. MAGA's like 2 steps away from being progressives. If they could turn that energy into real thoughts and real actions instead of, invading FBI offices with hammers and shit, then they might actually do something good for this country. But they have their heads too far up their asses with immigrants and trying to go against Democrats to actually do anything productive for the country.
Well said. I don't disagree with you that they're focusing on going against Democrats, because my last caller flat out admitted it. But Moo, you never leave me anywhere to go. You come pretty strong every time. It's always a pleasure. You know what I got to do, but damn, man, anytime, come on back through.
Have a good one, man.
You too. Certainly progressive. Listen, I don't know if I agree that Joe Biden is a Republican, but Moo generally crosses his T's and dots his I's. That part right there leaves me a little bit baffled. Now, looking in the comments, good convo. Thank you, Edith. Appreciate it. Moo listens to TYT, the Young Turks. Listen, I actually met Sink Ugar or whatever. I actually got a picture with him. I actually got a chance to meet him. Looking in the comments, Moo for president. Hashtag reverse citizen united. Oh, yikes. Trump doesn't even know what he says at all times. You know that's going to open up a Pandora's box on President Biden when you make a statement like that. Let me go back to the box. Ask that you tap the screen. Nearly 850 of you folks in here, so it's an honor to have you here. You know we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So keep that in mind when you're in the box, in the comment section. There is no concern with the host trying to limit your time, censor your point of view or any. Even if you're 180 degrees of yours truly or anyone else, nobody gives a damn. We all about free speech here. Program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Going to the box, MAGA Queen. I have to investigate. Good afternoon, MAGA Queen. We're talking about the border. Hey, good to have you on. We're talking about the border bill. The Republicans are refusing to work with this bill. What say you?
I'd have to understand a little bit more about which ones, but what do you think about that there's more going to outside of America versus inside America?
Wait. There's more. What do you mean in terms of funding for the Ukraine and funding for Israel?
Yeah, no matter who it's going to, it's basically more is going outside of America than coming into it.
I don't know if my research told me there was more of this 118.3 billion or something like that the bill allocates for. I'm not aware that more goes outside. However, if it's going to help the Ukraine, for instance, do you believe Russia should win that war with the Ukrainians?
I don't know about that, but I know 20 billion is going to the border, around 60 billion is going to Ukraine, and a little bit more than that is going, or a little less than that is going to Israel.
Okay. Now going back to the Ukraine, do you support preventing Russia from pretty much invading a sovereign nation like the Ukraine? Do you believe we should help the Ukrainians out at all?
I think if it's necessary that they need to support themselves, then yeah, of course, just like we're giving to Israel. Okay. But I also believe there's a lot of people that need help in America as well. And so I feel like more should go to America versus,
But MAGA Queen, that comes up often. That's an interesting point. It's very common. We should help out Americans before we help out folks overseas. But I have to ask you, which I often state, the Ukrainians were just invaded by Russia some 2 years ago. Before that happened, before the money was being sent to the Ukraine, where's the evidence that we ever were helping out Americans to begin with? There was still homelessness. There were still pushes to get people off welfare, to deny kids free lunch in schools. Nobody wanted to give anybody health care. Tuition forgiveness. Where is the history that shows before we started sending money overseas, we were actually helping out Americans? I don't see where that's ever been happening.
I hear you, and I know, one of the reasons why I'm even on TikTok is to help support my veteran father who had a stroke and selling T-shirts, and there should be more stuff for veterans, I believe, as a daughter of 2 veterans, actually.
Well, I'm a true supporter of veterans, but in regards to, more things for veterans, how about less wars to begin with so that so many veterans are not in need? We're constantly going to war. Now, right now with the Ukrainian conflict, we're taking on Russia without using any of our soldiers to take on Russia. Is that not a good thing that we can defeat an enemy without having to lose anybody?
I mean, it's pretty impressive considering how much money we're spending on them.
Well, but it's money. It's not lives.
Yeah, it's better.
So what's the bad? Well, I don't see the downside. You're sending money which could eventually take down one of our number one adversaries, which would probably free up a lot of money on the world stage once Russia becomes weaker and we'd make money on the back end. But if you could take down one of your enemies without having to use your own manpower, you don't favor that because it costs a little bit?
Well, I think it just begs the question, like Biden, when he was first initially started talking about, you know, the bills for sending money over there, he said, like, if we didn't agree, like this, the Congress and the Senate didn't agree on the bill, or I kind of probably could have said that wrong, but if we didn't agree on how much money got sent over there, it would be really bad for America. But I just don't know what that exactly means.
So here's the issue I have. You started out the conversation by suggesting we should do more to take care of the people in this country. With a name like MAGA Queen, has it ever dawned on you that all of the millions being sent to Trump to cover his legal fees could actually take care of a hell of a lot of distraught Americans? The money is here. We're giving it to one man. Imagine if that money went to help folks sleeping on the street. The veterans you're talking about, like your dad. Millions going to this guy for cases that he's likely going to lose.
I hear you.
So do we...
He's made his billions, and whoever wants to give him money is willfully doing so, I believe. So it's not like it's our taxpayer money, right, going where we don't maybe agree or disagree. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but with the same folks that are sending Trump money willfully, as you state, are also saying we need to do more for Americans. You obviously could be one of the people doing it directly. You're choosing to give your money to a billionaire, but then you're saying we don't do nothing to help the homeless. Make that make sense for me. Well, I personally haven't donated to any of his causes other than buying a hat. If that's a donation, then I've got... Same. Okay. All right. Same. All right. Listen, so at the end of the day, with them two, you haven't, according to you haven't done a lot of research on the border bill. So that's kind of what we're discussing here today. But understand you're always welcome back to the program because we're talking about why the Republicans will not work with the Democrats if the border in the country needs this protection. So come on back through anytime, but I would advise you look into that bill and we can have a conversation. MAGA Queen, appreciate it. My friend. Thanks for having me on, my friend. 100%, thank you. All right, looking in the comments, I don't know a single person that has donated. No, I get that. It's going to be folks with wealth, but those are the folks that are also telling us that as opposed to sending money to the Ukraine or helping out Israel, we should be helping out Americans. There's millions going to Trump for those legal fees. And I saw someone in the comments when I stated that you're sending money to protect Trump for these cases that he's likely going to lose. Someone said he hasn't lost yet. Go tell Eugene Carroll that. Go tell Eugene Carroll he hasn't lost yet. He's already on step 2. He has lost a ton of money. I don't know how much money was lost, suggesting that the 2020 election was stolen, but he got rejected from like 59 judges. Somebody paid for that. I know he hired a third-party entity to do a recount in Arizona because he didn't trust the voting count. Somebody paid for that. I mean, there's millions. He is losing. He's bleeding tons of money. He's not coming out of these cases victorious. There's a host of charges facing Trump. Give me some examples of some victories he's had. He's in court all the damn time. Give me some victories, because I can give you a lot of things that are going the wrong way for him. Give me some victories. If you believe he hasn't lost, name off some of the victories. The only victories right now is, well, I was able to delay that, or I was able to stall that. That's not a victory. That just means you push the ass kicking off to a different day. Looking in the comments, Trump put America more debt. I'm assuming you're saying Trump put America in more debt. Nikki Haley would agree with you. 900 of you folks in here, tap the screen, get your boy up to 40,000. We're going right back to the box. You folks on YouTube, smash that like button. You know what I always ask. Program is always will remain MAGA friendly. You know how we do it. You can be anywhere you want to be. It's always a pleasure having you here with yours truly. Talking about the fact that it looks like the Republicans are not going to work with the Democrats on this border bill. Is the bill a piece of shit, or is it because Trump is telling them not to? Gingerbread.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. SCOTUS will get pressure. Yeah, it didn't work for the election claims. Gingerbread, good afternoon. Gingerbread, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Why would a bipartisan bill on the table to fix what Republicans are suggesting is an invasion at the border, why are they suddenly not working with the Democrats? Okay, I guess my last caller has some issues there. Like I said, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone, but occasionally sometime they come in either due to signal or maybe they get a phone call or something, they drop out, but we do believe in letting folks speak. In the comments, Lance says a lot of celebrities are switching sides and coming out for Trump. What's that tell you? I heard Snoop recently speak positively of Trump, but that doesn't mean he's going to vote for Trump. When you suggest that celebrities are coming out for Trump, give me some names of celebrities that has switched sides and indicated they support Trump. I haven't seen it, but maybe there's things out there that I don't know, and I'm willing to concede it if you can point it out. What celebrities have come out and switched sides and now are voting for Trump? Snoop is not voting for Trump. Yeah, I don't think Snoop's going to vote for Trump either. I think there's a lot of folks that, like my caller before, Moo, who's not a fan of Biden, but they're not going to vote for Trump. There's a hell of a lot of folks that do not like Biden, but are going to vote for Biden simply because they hate Trump even more. That answers the question for folks who often ask, how are you going to tell me that Biden got more votes than Obama? There's no way he got 80 million votes in his basement. No, he didn't. The anti-Trump vote goes to Biden by default. Those are not votes for Biden. Those are votes against Trump. But there is no anti-Trump box on the ballot. So you got to check Biden's name. That's how he gets so many votes. There is a huge segment of the voting population that is anti-Trump. And they have no other place to go but to check out the Biden box. That's millions of Biden votes. Looking in the comments, Michael Rappaport. You know what? That's a good one because he has come out and said language that indicates he's supporting Trump. But, call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever the case. I don't believe it. I don't believe that on the first week of November, that Wednesday morning, you're going to hear Michael Rappaport stating he voted for Trump. If I'm wrong, I'll come on here and tell you all day long. I'll have a nice side dish of crow to admit I was wrong, but I don't believe it. Now, he said some really anti-Trump shit all over his page, but recently he has made a video or two saying that, look, I'm about to vote for Trump. I can't believe it. But I don't believe it. I don't believe at the end of the day Michael Rappaport is going to vote for Trump, but I could be wrong. Looking in the comments, how many Biden voters admit they vote for him? Lots of them do. Lots of them do. And they will also admit they voted for him and didn't like him. Going back to the box, tap the screen, over 900 of you guys in here, going straight to, I don't know what the hell happened there, but hunt for truth. We can hunt together. Why are they not working together? Bipartisan bill. Republicans got a hell of a lot in this bill that they wanted, and all of a sudden, they're refusing to work with the Democrats to get it done. Why is that? Now, I'm having some trouble with the box. I tried to bring a guest up, and I don't know what happened there, but he didn't come up. But we'll keep it moving and see what happens next. We all know why they are refusing, but they're not saying that. So I'm asking you. I tend to think you're right. I tend to think we do know, but they're not saying it. EMAC, good afternoon. EMAC, are you there?
All right, what's going on, man?
Not much at all. So why do you think this border bill, worked on by both the Republicans and Democrats, is all of a sudden going nowhere?
Oh, because of Trump. Yeah.
Explain. Elaborate. What do you mean?
Oh, no, Trump said he ain't want it, so they backed out of it.
So you're saying you could give the Republicans what they want, and if Trump says you now do not want that, that's all it takes?
Yeah. He's the head of the Republican Party.
Whatever happened to free thinking?
They're
you're suggesting that Trump or MAGA supporters are sheep. You don't believe they're sheep, do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Why do you think that if you believe they're sheep blindly following Trump, what do you think Trump has done to gather that type of passionate support?
I've been trying to figure that out for myself, man.
Well, let me ask you this then. With you suggesting that MAGA are sheep, I think my last caller just dropped. I was going to ask him, why is there no love for Biden like that? But my last caller did drop. Expose the corrupt swamp. How did that work the last time? Remember Trump promised to drain the swamp, got in there and started using the excuse, oh my God, the swamp is so deep. It's like having your friend, look, I can jump off the diving board. I know how to swim. I don't mind diving in 15 feet. I used to do it back when I was in the Navy. Then his ass jump in the pool. Lifeguard, help me. I didn't realize how deep the pool was. You can't read the sign on the side. So don't make the promise you can drain the swamp unless you know what you're talking about. Looking in the comments, illegals can vote in the bill. I did a little bit of research before last night's show. I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't believe that's true. But if I'm wrong, state wherein you're telling anybody else seen that, where the bill that they've agreed with, where the Republicans worked with them on this bill. Many Republicans are recommending a bill where it allows illegals to vote. Why would any Republican agree to a bill that allows illegal immigrants to vote? Where have you heard that from? Looking in the comments, that is his intention to expose the corrupt swamp. I don't care if it's his intention or not. It's either you pass or fail. My intention was to get a PhD. I only have a master's. You either succeed or you fail. I don't care if it's his intention. Maybe Biden's intention was world peace. How is that working out right now? So you don't get credit for intention. And by the way, I'm talking to my beloved MAGA audience. Surely you know what the hell a participation trophy is. You either did it or you didn't. He tried? What? Look it in the comments. The only reason MAGA people are nice to you is because the hat, other than that, there would be nonsense flying. Listen, true enough, you know, the prop over my right shoulder does lighten up the audience. Nevertheless, there's nonsense flying back and forth no matter what. So I understand that's not going to stop it. But the whole purpose of the hat, even though I lean left, I make it clear, and I'll go right back to the box. The whole purpose of the MAGA hat is to let folks on the right know this is a MAGA-friendly program. I've said it numerous times. I strongly believe that conservatives, Republicans, and particularly MAGA do not get a fair shake in the media. Oftentimes, the moment they start speaking or state who they support, they get blocked, banned, or censored. I started this whole program to let folks know we don't do that here. So the purpose of the hat is to simply let folks on the right know you will be allowed to speak here. Nobody gives a damn if your point goes against the host or anybody else. You're entitled to free speech just like everyone else is. So that is the reason the hat goes. Looking in the box, moving the program on, asking that you tap the screen. Might be to get your boy up to around 60,000 while TikTok sends me a prompt here telling me where to register to vote if I have not done it already. Going back to the box, Black Door Entertainment. I think you may have the wrong hub, so to speak. Black Door Entertainment. Good afternoon. I love the name, though. I love the name. If it lets you go in, vote for you as president. I don't quite get that. Real quick, while the boxes. There we go. Black Door Entertainment. Good afternoon. Entertainment, are you there? Okay, once again, we got some box issues. We'll keep it moving. I'll drop that and move on. Only way Trump wins is a third party. Need to keep them away. You could have a third party that could siphon off Republican votes. Some would suggest the no labels party would get more Republicans than Democrats. So I don't know if Trump would win only by a third party. I see somebody said the screen is gone. Let me see in the box what happens. That sometimes happens on this thing. I don't know why, because I don't have anybody in the box. I see it says purple screen. Vision gone screen. Okay, I'm going to try to bring up a caller. Obviously, you can hear me. I'll bring up someone. We'll have the conversation. If the screen does not come back after the conversation, I will reset the live. But because you can hear me, we'll go, because they got over 1,000 people in here. So I don't want to affect the audience. Ryan, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Okay, you said you're back. All right, fair enough. Ryan, good afternoon.
Holy hat, I'm in the box.
All right, well, let's make it happen and let's make the best of it. So why are they not working together on this bill?
Because Trump asked them to back out, because his whole campaign, his only platform that he's running on is the border. And if the Republicans help to fix the border, then he's got nothing to run on. And they've already admitted it. Everyone across the board has admitted it. Why would we help Democrats?
Yeah,
and
but
they've said it. McConnell said it, because one day McConnell's like, yes, we need to move this bill along. And then 5 days later, he changed his tune. Because why? Because Trump said, whoa, hang on, buddy. What am I going to run on if you guys pass this bill?
But Trump could run on gas prices. Trump could run on no major global affairs happening throughout his term.
Yeah, but it's easy to shoot holes in the gas prices, because if you just literally look at the numbers, it's easy. And it's, matter of fact, it's easy to run, and counterpoint this whole thing with the border, because everyone can see that there's been no traction in actually doing any, in 3 decades, 4 decades, because Republicans always bitch about the border, and they never want the border fixed because it's always something for them to bitch about.
I don't know. I would agree with you if we were talking about the Bush administration or some of the prior administrations. You there, Ryan?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I would agree with you. We're talking about the Bush administration, but I strongly believe out of every president in my lifetime, Trump is probably the first one to genuinely want to do something with what's coming across the southern border. I do believe. Let me ask it to you this way: Do you see any difference on how the border would be handled if Trump got in office, or you think it would be just like it is now?
Oh, I mean, he's going to go back to his policies the way they were before. But the funny thing is there's been more deportations post-Trump than there were during Trump.
So let me make sure I'm getting this.
That's what people haven't seen, that the actual numbers. I mean, the numbers at the border have always been skewed on the right to scare the crap out of people, to say all the brown people are going to come and take your jobs and rape your wives and murder your children. So you
wait. So you believe they're using the border as a racial fear-mongering element? Do you think it's racism involved?
Oh, absolutely. That's what Trump ran on the first time. That's why he said he wanted to build a wall. He scared the crap out of everyone that all these bad people are going to come in and do all these bad things. And that's always what they talk about. They talk about the drugs and the fentanyl, even though the numbers support the fentanyl is being carried through the points of entry, not through where you would put a wall. The wall isn't necessary.
So if you believe it's racially motivated, how do you respond to the fact that they often say, we are not anti-immigrant, we just want you to come here legally? They're okay with you coming here across the southern border, just do it the legal way.
And they are, but the problem is because they don't have money at the border. They don't have money to cover all of the court cases to process all of the people in a timely manner. So it is showing up as illegals, but these illegals are actually in the process. But the process is taking decades because there's no money to process these people. But they are actually 92% of these immigrants are trying to do it the right way.
But would you agree that under the Biden administration, the number of folks that have come here, whether they're illegal, whether they're coming to seek asylum or whatever the case may be, do you think that number would be significantly less if Trump was on his second term?
Do Do I think that number would be less if Trump was on the
The number of immigrants that have crossed the border under the Biden administration over the last 3 years, do you think that number, whatever it is, will be the same or significantly less if Trump was on his second term and Biden never?
It's hard to say it would be any more because his numbers were lower than what Biden's deportation numbers were. So, I mean, the numbers bear it out if you just look at it.
Yeah, but is Biden's deportation numbers more because the sheer number of people coming over here is swollen so much that he can afford to deport more people because there's so many more of them coming?
No, that's not the case because they don't have the money to even process these people. So that's the thing that people aren't seeing is that that's why they're strangling the money under democratic regimes so they can say, hey, look at all these people coming through. And these people aren't really coming through, quote unquote. It's just that they don't have the manpower to process them in a timely manner.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you're saying that Biden is actually better at the border than Trump is.
Absolutely. But that's not what the right wants you to think because that's their biggest thing they've run on that's their biggest gripe. Campaign after campaign is the border. They scare the crap out of people because we will scare these people to think that you're going to lose your jobs to these people and they're going to do crime. They're going to bring in drugs. They're going to make this country, I mean, some of the terminology that you use when they say things like water down our society and ruin our bloodline, how can you say that it's not?
Let me, and I get your.
Just said that like a month ago.
Yeah, I heard the vermins and poison in the blood of the country. I get that, but when you say watered down, listen, I lean left, but let me play devil's advocate on this. The watered down comment. If you're in an American city and most of the shops you go to do not speak English, do you see that as being watered down? There are parts of this country where you go and people in those areas can. Let me give you a perfect example myself. I went on vacation last week and took a cruise out of Tampa. Took a cab while in Tampa, Florida, or took an Uber rather. Both ways in Tampa, American City, the driver didn't speak English. Both of those drivers. Do you see that as watering down?
That's a slippery slope because if you say that's a racial motivated concept. Because this country was founded on immigrants. So if that's the case, we were already quote unquote watered down.
Yeah, but Ryan, it was also founded on the English language. That's the original documents are written in English. These folks could not even read the Constitution.
But the fact of the matter is this country was founded with immigrants in mind, and the whole premise of them leaving England to come here was to get away from that type of mindset that you need to believe in this God, you need to speak this language, you need to believe in these concepts, and that's it. Is that we don't want that. We want to have our own free democracy. We want to be able to pray to who we want to pray to. We want to do whatever job we want to do. We want to have whatever government we see fit, and we need to change our government if we see it's not fit. So they founded our current system.
Let me interrupt you and say something real quick. For you folks that are on YouTube, I saw somebody ask, well, why the hell are your eyes looking in a different direction? Because the program is oriented for TikTok. So for you folks on YouTube, understand I'm not looking directly at the device because most of the program is on TikTok. But I appreciate you folks that are in there. Hit that like button on YouTube. So that's how the program works. But you're okay with segments of the country where English is like the second or third language. You don't see any issue with that, right?
Yeah, I don't, because it's not, I don't run into it so much to where it's like, oh my God, this country's being overrun by a different language. We're going to be, that's such hyperbole. It's like not even, it's such a minority. It's wild.
Where else do you go? And I hate to use other countries, but where else can you?
We're one of the worst countries for this.
But here's the problem. But Ryan, here's the problem.
We're one of the worst countries. There's plenty of other countries. England is one of them. There's a lot of languages that are spoke on the streets, and and you go to many countries where it's not a problem.
Okay.
But
All right.
here, the Americans don't learn languages like other countries.
True.
You know, they'll grow up speaking 2 languages or even 3 languages. Many people. You know, here hardly anyone. There's probably less than one.
Let me ask you this question: Do you believe that anybody that wants to come here to better their life should be allowed to?
Absolutely. That's what this country was founded on. I mean, this country got its boost from these immigrants that were coming in to help our industrial boom. It happened at that time.
So,
industrial boom happened.
So if I'm living in, Guatemala, or I'm living in Somalia or France somewhere, and I think it sucks here and I want to go to the United States, the U.S. should let me in.
Yeah, we have an asylum process for that. Absolutely.
And you're okay with pleading asylum simply on the grounds that I think I could do better financially in your country than my own. You would accept that.
No, that's not how asylum works.
Right, I agree.
Venezuela is a mess. It's a frightening place to live. Venezuela is a great example. There's a good chunk of people coming from there. Oh. So asylum is different from immigration. Immigration is a whole different animal. It's a different process. Asylum is entirely.
Let me ask it to you this way. Let me ask it to you this way. I am an impoverished citizen in a second or third world country. I don't have the money it takes to come to America legally. Now, I'm telling you this because I actually did migrate to Australia, so I've went through the process, and I know how much it costs. And for a lot of folks who live in developing or third world countries, they cannot afford that. If that person wanted to migrate to the United States but could not afford the cost, do you think the U.S. should let them in anyway?
I mean, that's how immigration works. There's a process. You apply, and they take everything into account. And, I am not up on the very specifics of what any requirements are for just immigration, but I know that they're different. Asylum is a different animal. And many of the people coming through are coming through an asylum for very good reasons and very legitimate reasons, but they're unable to be processed because there's no funding at the border.
What if they wanted to come here simply because they were greatly impoverished and they weren't running from the cartel or their life was not in danger? They just could not find a job to feed their family and they wanted to come to the U.S. Would that be enough for you to let them in?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to come in and you're going to be able to find a job and contribute, that's right. Yeah. But that's where it process. People make it seem like literally they just walk in like it's Walmart and I can just start shopping. Here I am. No, it doesn't work that way.
No, but if I can't, if I am,
they don't pay taxes, but it's like, you know what? They do once they get processed, and they are paying sales tax on all the products they buy. Why do you think that our agricultural industry was crippled when Trump clamped down? He clamped down both in the embargoes and all the tariffs, which was a mess. But we lost all of our migrant workers. And who works in the field? Who does all these construction jobs, these laborer jobs that these companies need to build houses? The housing industry crashed. The agricultural industry crashed. They all crashed because these people went away. They're doing jobs that regular Americans don't do or don't want to do. And they crushed industries. There's plenty of documentaries out to support that.
Okay. All right, I do gotta move it on. Okay,
get paid, and
real
they
quick.
Go to the store, they buy their groceries, they buy their products, and that's sales tax that goes into our economy. And they work. The vast majority of these people come.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. All right, Ryan. Listen, I don't disagree with the fact they come in and they want to work, but I'll tackle your point a little bit more on the other side. You're always welcome back, though. I appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Now, he mentioned the housing industry and industries that crashed when immigrants started going back. That does happen, but my pushback on it all the time is there was a time when Americans done those jobs. You think the homes that were built in the 40s and the 1950s when baby boomers came back from World War II, they weren't built by immigrants. There was a time when Americans did their own labor. The only reason those jobs have become jobs no Americans want is the pay has dropped so low that no American can live off the damn wages they pay. But those jobs were formerly done by an American. Americans have just been taught to be materialistic and greedy. I can afford a $2 t-shirt now, so I'd rather the Chinese make it. There was a time you wore made in the USA clothing. Remember the Zenith TVs, Magnavox, RCA? We used to make that shit. Maybe you wouldn't been able to get a television for $200, but everybody had a TV. And the people making those televisions, union labor, getting paid very well, pension jobs. We've traded the soul of this nation, to quote Joe Biden, for cheaper materialistic goods that are meaningless, while at the same time strengthening one of our deepest enemies, our worst adversaries, talking about China. All of those jobs went to China. They have since used that money to strengthen their military, and they're threatening the American way on every level. Also, you can get a $2 t-shirt. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of bringing folks in because they'll do jobs no Americans want. If you want to extend goodwill to immigrants, I'm fine with that. But this whole issue of we need folks to do jobs no Americans want, Biden said it best. For folks who say he stumbles on his words, don't know what the hell he's saying. He spoke in a quiet voice and stated, you want Americans to work, pay them better. There is no such thing as a job no American wants. I use the example all the time. If your septic tank goes out, you could call a plumber and they will come to your house and fix your septic tank, even if it means putting on a spacesuit and getting knee deep in shit, because you pay them properly. You're going to tell me you can find a plumber that will step in shit, but you can't get somebody to pick an orange? That makes no sense. So if you pay people properly, you don't have that problem. Look it in the comments. Why, when they can pay an illegal less? That's the point we're making. We've convinced Americans that if you allow us to hire folks and circumvent your own jobs and make you compete with immigrants, I'll sell you a t-shirt for $2. I'll let you buy a laptop for only $500 now. You don't have to pay $2,000 anymore. Folks are winning the battle and losing the war. All for materialistic greed. There's no other way to go with it. There's no other way to go with it. Look it in the comments. Yes, they were built by immigrants way back since the Chinese. Look at American history. Listen, I don't know where else to go with. As I stated, if American jobs paid a livable wage, minimum wage is $7.50, $8 an hour in majority of the country right now. If the economy gets strengthened and people go back to work, which they've been taking off since the damn pandemic, if everybody goes back to work, they still have the ability to pay you $7.50 an hour in 2024. That is the current minimum wage in most American states right now, with the exception of a few liberal strongholds up north. The entire Bible Belt, with the exception of Florida, all pays minimum wage less than $8 an hour. Pay Americans right. You won't need the immigrants to do the job. Looking in the comments, or better, going back to the box, we'll go straight to Matthew. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 75,000. I always solicit the tapping of the screen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Helps out the algorithm. Brings in more MAGA. Why won't they come together on this border bill? What is wrong with this bill? Go into the box. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Few of you folks in there doing that. Get your boy likes up. I don't know. The box has been giving me a little bit of trouble today. Matthew, are you there? Sounds like you got a no. Matthew, are you there? Okay, apparently my guest is not by the box or something's going on. So we'll move it on. What is wrong with the border bill? That is what we're asking. The minimum wage isn't enough for people to sustain a standard life. Fact. However, before we go back to the next caller, understand the pushback generally from the right is minimum wage was never meant to be a livable wage. It wasn't. You're not meant to be a burger flipper and buy a home on it. The argument misses the mark for the simple fact of two reasons. First of all, just because you're not meant to live entirely off minimum wage doesn't mean you keep the damn wage the same for 20 years. My own personal story. Worked for Burger King 1988, giving you my age a little bit. I was still in high school. $3.80 an hour. That's 1988, folks, some 36 years ago. Minimum wage has barely doubled in 36 years. I couldn't purchase a home or a brand new car off of $3.80 an hour, but you know what? I could actually get a used one. I could get outfits. I could pay to get my hair done. I actually could do things with the money back then that folks earning that money cannot do now. So even though it's not meant to buy you this lavish lifestyle, there's no denying that minimum wage today has not kept up with inflation and does not go anywhere near what minimum wage went when your parents were earning it. Also, in regards to minimum wage not being meant to provide a lifestyle, folks need to understand when they're hammering against the minimum wage increase. You got to think of minimum wage like the foundation on a home. If you raise the foundation, people on the second floor are also higher up now. Minimum wage doesn't apply just to folks making minimum wage. Everyone will see their salaries increase. It's the foundation for salary. So keeping minimum wage the same actually affects all the salaries above it. So I don't understand why folks are so much against raising the minimum wage. Going back to the box, looking in the comments, to pay $25 an hour in McDonald's in Denmark and Big is cheaper than the USA. You're saying that the pay is $25 an hour in Denmark, but the Big Mac is cheaper. There could be a host of issues behind it, such as what is the currency in Denmark and how does the exchange rate works with the American dollar. There's a host of things that could go into account. Now, when I was in Australia, they pay a minimum wage. And I'm going right back to the box, going back to the actual topic. But in Australia, they pay a minimum wage based on age. So the minimum wage for a teenager is different than the minimum wage for a 50-year-old. I actually think that makes sense. But they do it because you're going to have different responsibilities. If you're a burger flipper at 40, you likely have real adult bills to pay. If you're a burger flipper at 15, you don't. So I do agree that they have a different minimum wage. In the comments on YouTube, someone stated I have a question. So to pay attention to that, go ahead and ask your question there, Inferno or something like that, and we'll go to the box after that. Somebody's on YouTube typing Russian. Okay, maybe I attracted the wrong people. Real talk. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Name a car brand to make a... Real talk, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Why is this border bill not working? Both sides came to a conclusion. They got a little bit in it for both people. Why won't the Republicans agree on this now?
You know, I think it's just like some Republicans came out on TV and said, it'll look like a win for Biden. It'll be bad for Trump, like having something to run on or whatever the case would be like that.
But what about the notion, if the border is in such disarray, full-on invasion, poison in the blood of the country, a bunch of vermins, what about the fact that it'll be a win for America as opposed to a win for Trump versus... Are we putting the politics of victory for my favorite candidate over a win for the nation?
Actually, I agree with you. Like, I agree that is a win for the nation, but the way that they are forming it as a win for a person that you like, over the humanity of people and the well-being of people, and whatnot like that. Because I try to follow like Senate hearings and all this stuff. A lot of Republicans railed against Biden is not doing nothing. He's not doing nothing. So when they came with this bipartisan bill, reports came out that Trump talked to some of them. Mike Johnson even said that he talked to Trump in length about it, and Trump is in disagreement with it. So now it's looking like, okay, like you guys asked for something, you're getting what you want, but now you're saying you don't want it. Before the bill even was released, they was already saying it was a bad bill. How would you know it's a bad bill and they didn't even finish it and then release it? Or if a case may be like that. So, it's just sad, like, making this thing like such of a boogeyman. Like, I heard some people say the border was better under Trump. And I always ask people why. Because he had a remain in Mexico policy. People were still crossing. Now, if the border was better, Trump built a wall. That was supposed to make it better. Then why do they need razor wire? Or whatever the case should be like that. So it's looking at things from all different aspects.
Well, let me make sure I'm understanding this. Are you suggesting that Trump was no better at the border than Biden?
Well, actually, I'm not suggesting of who is better or not, because there's been a problem. Nobody has been able to get it under control. My thing with saying that is that if it's out of control and there's a problem, regardless if it's everything you want or not, you should always go and at least try to do something to help the situation. Because the longer as you keep the situation like it is, the worse it's going to get. It's not going to get better, and it's going to become even more out of control.
So then let me phrase it this way. If the border was the only issue on the table and the only choice was Trump or Biden, who do you think would be the better commander-in-chief to deal with that one specific issue?
Well, the reason why I would say Biden, and this is my reason why I would say Biden, is because, you know, the care for people. It's a difference from my view and from how I watched Trump and followed him. You know, there's a different kind of care for people. Or if the case would be like that, like seeing them as all of them as criminals and gonna grape your wives and steal your jobs and, you know, and all this stuff. Instead of, you know, yes, I'm not saying that everybody is good. Just like in our country alone, you know what I'm saying? We have natural born citizens that turns out to do certain things or whatever the case may be like that. But don't condemn everybody for what some might do.
But it sounds, when I asked you which one would be better at the border, you went into the side that would be more for humanity as opposed to securing the border. I mean, so do you side with Biden and saying let people in?
No, I'm not saying just let people in or whatever. There's a process. I believe in following the process. If there's a way to do it, because that's why we have a process. If there wasn't a way, we would have never formed that process. But I'm saying that we can go with the process while showing care for people. It's not to just let people in, because just like I tell my sons, if I had to get up and go to work, you busters got to get up and go to work too. If I got to get up and make my bed before I go to work, before y'all go to school, y'all got to make y'all bed too. I don't give nothing away for free. You got to earn everything. Qualification be like that. So if the people are willing to go through the process, to earn it, to work for it, to show that, hey, I want this and I'm willing to do whatever it takes the right way, then yes, let's go with the process.
How do you respond to so many on the right that would suggest letting folks in as long as they can earn it and work like you're talking about puts us Americans in competition with them for our jobs? In other words, if you let all these folks in that are willing to work for these low wages, it's going to affect your wage as well, because employers now realize I got a lot of people that are competing with you for this job that'll take a lot less in pay. Does that affect us at all as employees if we let these folks in like that?
Well, I would look at it the same way of just like people who jumps out of prison. They can't get these good jobs. They got to go and work for low wages or under the table work. They got to do the same thing that these people have to do crossing the border or whatever the case may be like that. So in America, there's always been competition, just like when
but you're hold on, hang on a second, real talk. You're not competing with felons. They can't even get most jobs. We're talking about it. Go ahead.
I'm not saying that, you know, like when you say not competing with fellas. I'm with the analogy I was using was just like meaning like competing with somebody that's willing to work for a lesser pay or whatever the case may be like that because of whatever circumstances. Now, my thing is my life and my worth is not dictated by any other human or if the case may be like that or around this world. My worth is dictated by the work and the work ethics that I present. My judgment of me as a character. So if I want to go, I'm not going. Nobody's going to stop me from growing because they're going to accept the lesser pay or.
But that doesn't. So you don't see letting in folks that are willing to do your job for less a hindrance to you growing at all. Even though no matter how much you grow, there's always going to be somebody at that level which you're letting folks in that's willing to do whatever you've grown to for a lesser salary. You don't see any hindrance by that.
Okay, I look at it like this from that point of view. I look at it like this. If I work for somebody and they said that they was going to pay me, let's say $20 an hour, and I agreed to that, then that's what I agreed to. If somebody came and said they'll work for less than that, that has nothing to do with me. I made a contract.
But I don't think you, let me make sure I explain this clear. If you go and get a job for somebody that's offering you $20 an hour, they're offering you $20 because they now know a bunch of immigrants will take that $20. That same job may have originally paid $28 an hour, but because there's so many immigrants, we're only offering $20 now. Are you willing to take this job? You don't see any relation to how that works?
No, I do see relations, but for me, that would depend on, my circumstances in life or what I'm going through. I might not be in a position where I can feel like, well, I'm not going to take this because they would have paid this or whatever the case may be like that. Sometimes in life, you got to take what you can get. Especially when you have no control over certain things. Because, we want to really look at it. It's the companies that's going ahead and hiring these people. They still getting their big money and their riches and stuff like that. I can't control of what they gonna do or what they gonna pay somebody else or whatnot like that. I can't focus on what somebody else gonna get. I gotta look at myself and my situation and focus on that and work for what I need for however way that I can get it. Because I have worked a job where $8 an hour doing construction, throwing boulders in a big garbage can or whatever case it be like that. And that was in Miami, Florida, on South Beach. Wow. Where all the money at.
But you don't see any issue in reference to supply and demand. If you have more supply and you drop the demand, the value of the item, like there's not a lot of Babe Ruth cards out there. So if you're trading a Babe Ruth baseball card, it's going to be worth a lot because there's a very little supply. But if all of a sudden there were thousands of them, the price of a Babe Ruth baseball card would drop. If there are now 10 times as many employees for one particular industry, you don't see any effect at all.
I know, I do see an effect of that, or whatever case may be like that, but at the same time, the rich and the wealthy is always trying to get what they need and spend less money. Okay. So that's something that I can't control, because if I got good work ethics, I could do a job good. They're gonna pay me $50 an hour. But okay, for an example, just like my job where I work at now, they got this one guy. He has the knowledge. He does all the work. He the one to keep that that section going. He just asked for more money. They said that they didn't want to pay him no money, so instead, they going to go ahead and hire 2 people at the double wage that he was making himself, instead of just giving him a little bit extra money. They rather go ahead and pay these 2 people so they ain't got to give him more money. So, the rich is always looking to pay less. Yeah. But it takes us to stand together and say, nah, if y'all making all this money, y'all getting this, pay us that fair wage. It goes back to what you were saying earlier when you were talking about the minimum wage and how it's still the same out of so many years or whatever the case should be like that. Some people, I believe in this country, it's a lot of Americans that has no problem, just like me, with crawling before you walk, starting from the bottom. But at the same time, let us see a light at the end of that tunnel. I don't know.
I do got to move it on real talk. You and I kind of disagree on this issue, but listen, at the end
for sure, I respect that.
Hey, and there's no issue with that. I don't have a damn bit of concern about somebody disagreeing with me. It's always a pleasure. But I do appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Sir. Appreciate it. Hey, and I ain't been seeing you lately, man. Like,
I was on vacation. I was in Mexico, and believe it or not, real quick, when I was in Mexico last week, I was on a cruise. Somebody walked up to me, an African American guy, actually older than I am. He's like, I don't mean to bother you, but can I ask you something? I'm like, wait. He said, are you the handsome liberal? He said, I listen to I swear to God, in Mexico. He's like, I listen to you every day in Atlanta. I really felt honored to have that happen. I actually did a video about it.
Because I was feeling some kind of way. I'd be at work, man. I'm refreshing and refreshing. I'm like, man, where he at, man? Yeah. Boy, I'm about to go look for this boy. But thanks for having me up, man. I'm going to continue watching.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Now, looking in the comments, he don't realize those illegal immigrants he want to come in, why they won't raise the minimum wage. I tend to agree with that. Me and my last caller disagreed. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. That's what we do here. And by the way, if you do appreciate civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host limiting, banning, or blocking you are in the right place. Follow the program. We're here Monday through Friday. So, yeah, that's what we do here. But I do agree that there's a supply and demand issue. I'm pro-immigrant, but I do believe that there has to be a threshold. There has to be a number. Too many folks is going to affect industries, particularly the untrained, unskilled working industry. Now, my last caller is correct. If you can't get a decent pay, go out and learn more skills and climb up the ladder. However, that means they're making your job harder. That means where you used to be able to make a decent wage on job A, it's become saturated, so you got to go back to school and learn some more skills to get out of that element so you can make a decent wage. You didn't have to do that before. And keep in mind, we're now employing foreigners at all levels of the game. There are some hospitals you go to, everybody in there is from India. And they're not paying them the same, even though they got doctorates. So you can climb all the way to the top of the scale, and there's still folks coming from other places to compete with you. And I'm not saying this from an anti-immigrant standpoint. I'm just simply saying supply and demand numbers, it doesn't work well for the typical American in terms of earnings. Looking in the comments, why is there no penalty for people that hire people with no documentation? That is the issue. Andy, I agree. That is what I refer to as a home run, that comment. Even President Trump, who has made more of a stink, more of a fuss about the border than any other politician in my lifetime, I don't hear him at rallies, and I've been to Trump rallies. I don't hear him saying nothing about going after Americans who are co-conspirators in the illegal immigration crisis. They're not coming here just to get welfare and food stamps. Most of those folks are coming here to work. Where are the Americans being either punished criminally, civilly for hiring these folks? I don't hear Trump talking about that. Anybody else? Going back to the box, tap the screen. We might be able to get up to 100,000 if some of you guys let your thumbs not be lazy. We're well over 900. Moving the program on. Steve, good afternoon. Welcome to the pro. Why won't they agree on this border bill? Haven't had many folks from the right. I tend to look for that. But Steve, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Great to talk to you as always. This thing just highlights how Trumpers are always their own worst victimizers. The immigrants who come to this country come here for two reasons. The ones who come to stay come for two reasons. There's also, don't forget, 500 million people who come here to tour, to visit family, to do business, and that stuff. Okay, so the thousands coming across the border are a huge distraction, and it's a made-up problem. The question is, are people going to come and take your job? Because if some guy can come here who doesn't speak English and has no skills and can take your job, you got way more problems than immigrants. You're not going to survive in America. It doesn't matter what they do.
But you're used to, Steve. You're used to. You used to be able to.
You used to supposedly go out and be able to build a log cabin in the woods. That wasn't really true either. But this whole thing about, oh, you used to be able to support yourself with no skills is just not true. And even if it were true, even if that had been the past, that is not the present. We are 3.5% of the world's population, sitting on about 27% of the best real estate in the world. We're the least densely populated place on the entire planet. We don't have enough Americans to hold this ground. We need more Americans. People who live here are not having any babies because they don't want health care, they don't want child care, they don't want socialized medicine, they don't want any of the things that the other 30 developed nations enjoy every day.
Yeah.
They like it the way it was, and that's the way it's going to stay. And it's ignorance, and it's killing us.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens with this. They don't come here just to work. They come here also to consume. They buy houses. I do construction work. I'm not only a lawyer. I hate practicing law because I'm just sick of the nonsense, and it's so irrelevant anymore because of technology. But that's a whole other story. But what I've been doing is working construction, out there competing with Mexicans on a daily basis. And I'll tell you what, they're making more than you guys are. I make more doing construction work than I did as a lawyer. And
let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. Hang on. Let me interrupt you. I'll let you continue. But when you pointed out that Mexicans doing construction are making more than we are, how do you feel about the idea that a lot of them folks, you said they come to consume, how do you feel about the fact that a lot of them are sending that money out of the country that they're making?
That's our fault. If everybody could come here, their family would all be here. We are our own worst victimizers. They buy houses. I worked on their houses. I've run into lots of Mexicans that are not citizens. They own houses. They're richer than I am, and they pay me good money to fix their plumbing. I mean, they are part of the economy. They participate in it. The question is not, is somebody going to take your job? The question is, are we going to have a growing economy, or are we going to have a shrinking economy? And you can be as high-tech as you want. If your population base is shrinking, you cannot grow the economy no matter how smart you are. Just ask Japan. Last 25 straight years, they have been in recession every year except for 4 quarters. Their economy is getting lower. They're starting to have the same unemployment problems we used to have. They've got serious issues because they won't have babies. Well, I mean, they can't. Life is so hard there. It's just so difficult.
Well, I was going to say Japan when you brought that up, but also when I left Australia, I left in 2010, I think it was. They were paying folks like $5,000 to have, because it was the same thing. You know, first world countries, they look at the cost of having a child and things like that, and they focus more on money in their career, and they don't have a lot of babies. They were doing the same thing in Australia. They were paying you to have children. So I've seen that. I have seen, and Australia's the same way. They're not very immigrant friendly either. I know, because I stood in line there and saw it. So,
and that's the problem with Japan. They won't accept immigrants, and when they do, they harass them to death, and they make it very difficult. So they can't build a life there, and that has been killing their economy. But they still keep doing it because they're stuck in old ways. We don't want to go that direction. We cannot be ignorant hillbillies trying to keep out Mexicans because we're afraid of them. It's just ridiculous. They are not criminals. We got to stop calling them illegals. They're not violating any law at all. This bill doesn't allow for illegal crossings. It allows so many to come in for asylum, which is perfectly legal. In fact, our limiting it is arguably a violation.
Yeah, but Steve, you know the majority of these people coming in claiming asylum don't have a legitimate claim. All these folks ain't running for their lives.
You want to know how I don't know that? Because when they come and they do have their trials, all right, they don't get a judge like you and I get. They don't get an impartial judge at all. They don't get a jury. They get an appointee that works for the Department of Justice. He gets the paycheck from the same place as the prosecutor, and he works for them. They get a judge who is appointed just for.
Wait, Steve, even but come on, you're an attorney. Hold on, Steve, Steve, let me present it to you this way. You telling me you're running for your life or seeking asylum? You're a Chinese national coming in through Mexico. You're telling me you have to do all this running? The Chinese are chasing you through Guadalajara? I mean, these aren't even all Hispanics that are coming to the country. There's no way all these folks have legitimate asylum claims.
Wait a minute. We know what kind of country it is. We know that China puts thousands of people into concentration camps and re-education camps every year. There are all kinds of people persecuted from China.
Then let's state the obvious. If you're running from the Chinese seeking asylum, the minute you touch ground in Mexico, why not ask them, can you stay there? Why are you running to the United States?
Because Mexico is worse than we are. They're stupider than we are, and that's why they're also not as rich as they could be. They're getting richer, but they're also doing a dumb thing. Just because Mexico does a dumb thing doesn't mean we should do a dumb thing.
But Steve, I asked you, if you're a Chinese national, why didn't you ask asylum when you hit the ground in Mexico? You said because Mexico is worse.
Because Mexico won't do it. They won't give it to you.
But they're allowing you to enter their country illegally and walk all the way through from the bottom to the top.
Well, I don't know how close you live to Mexico, but you can just drive over to Mexico. I can go to Mexico anytime I want. There's nobody at the gate. There's nobody stopping anybody. There's nothing. There's no one there. You can just drive across to Mexico anytime you want.
That didn't happen to me. I made a mistake. It's been some years ago, but I wanted to see the border. I didn't even want to go in. I didn't have a passport at the time, and I made a mistake in entering Mexico, taking I-5 through San Diego, and went into down about. And they grabbed my ass. I've been grabbed. In fact, go ahead.
Mexican stopped you?
Yeah. Went through my car and everything. In fact, I've been grabbed by both Border Patrol. I went to meet a chick up in Vancouver once and got grabbed by Canadian Border Patrol as well. I've had it happen both ways, but yeah, the Mexicans grabbed me. They only held me for 5 minutes, but they did grab me.
I don't know when they did it, but every once in a while they like to put on a show to kind of retaliate for national dignity and start harassing some Americans. But I've never experienced it. Okay. I've gone.
So you can walk into Mexico. You're saying you can walk into Mexico unobstructed, nobody checks you for anything. Just go in.
That's right.
Wow, I didn't know that.
There's nothing. You just drive, and pretty soon the signs are in Spanish.
Wow, I didn't know that. I've never heard of that.
This is not an actual problem. This is a problem generated to entertain racists. That's all this is. It's just it's a way to distract them from how they are screwing them. And the way to stop them from screwing us is to stop with the immigration laws. We didn't have any for the whole beginning of our country. That's why I keep wanting these people, tell me the day America was great. Odds are pretty good. We didn't even have any immigration restrictions then. Yeah. And part of the reason is it's not an actual problem. It's people come here, consume, they have jobs. If they're perfectly legal, they're not going to do a job for any less than you will.
Your conversation is starting to smell like replacement theory. I get where you're going. I do got to move it on, though, Steve.
Well, that's what these guys think. That's what these guys think it is. But the only reason it's a replacement theory is because of the immigration laws. You get rid of the immigration laws, nobody can replace you, because that guy's not going to work for any less than anybody else.
Wow.
Why would he?
Well said. All right, Steve. We don't agree on all of it, but we agree on a lot. I appreciate you coming through. Anytime.
Thanks.
Come on back in.
Love you, man.
Absolute. Same. Looking in the comments. Steve has common sense and book sense. There you go, Steve. Giving you an accolade. By the way, you folks on TikTok, smash the like button. It helps out the algorithm on YouTube, rather. For my YouTube viewers, we run a simulcast on YouTube, so the program is on both. Smash that like button for you YouTubers. I do appreciate you folks rolling with your boy as well. The comments on YouTube, here it is. You flood a historically Christian country with many different ethnicities, if I can pronounce that right, that have different cultures. It's called destabilization. The U.S. has mostly been whites and blacks, both Christians. Now, Hispanics are predominantly Christian as well. I want to point that out, but how do you folks feel? That was a YouTube comment, by the way. How do you folks feel about that? That if you bring in a lot of folks from different backgrounds, different cultures, it can change the balance of the tradition of this country, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier with me catching a Uber in Tampa and the driver not speaking English. I'll go back to the box real quick, but somebody at that time stated, what difference does it make if he doesn't speak English? Well, the issue I had with it, and I did a YouTube video on this, is that before we had Uber and Lyft, we used to have the taxi business. And there were foreigners that drove taxis as well. However, one of the benefits of taxis is if you were going to be a tourist in a certain area, let's say you're going to Vegas, what casino has the best buffet? What casino you think have the best or the loosest odds on slot machines? If you can't speak English, you can't provide your riders with common questions of the local area because you don't know the local language. So when it comes to tipping the driver, both taxis and Uber rideshare drivers also operate on tips. You can't help me out with anything. What's the best restaurant to go to get a burger or some nice fries? You don't speak the language. That happened to me in Tampa. So when folks say, well, you don't need to learn English. If you're in the service industry, can you imagine a nurse that doesn't speak your language when you go to the hospital? If you're servicing someone, you should have to be able to communicate with them. Now, if you're sitting behind the desk you're a technician testing chips, plugging in resistors or, you don't need to know English. You're not talking. But if you're picking up a phone or if you're actually meeting with customers in person, you're going to tell me you don't need to know how to speak the language of the person that you're working with? Imagine going to McDonald's and the person that's taking your order can't speak English. You got to point and hopefully they understand the number you're talking about. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not trying to go, off the deep end anti-immigrant, but I do believe that if you come to the country, you should at least know how to speak the language of the country. Otherwise, that's going to present a huge hindrance in terms of you prospering. If you're coming here to work, coming here to do things better for your family, but you can't speak the language of the people, that's a huge problem. Now, obviously, in this country, if you're Hispanic, there's enough people to work with where you never had to learn English. But imagine coming from Russia or somewhere else. You would be useless in America. You can't even fill out an application online. You don't understand the language. Looking in the comments, how are they going to learn if they aren't out there? We're talking about full-grown adults, Pinky. I'm 50 years old. I'm not about to learn no new language at this point. And I don't have time if I'm trying to earn a living to do so. You either know, now if you're 15 years old, that's one thing. I'm an old dog. New tricks don't come very easy. So you either know the language or you don't at that point. Or perhaps maybe you need to learn the language before you migrate. Looking in the comments, or better yet, going to the box. I appreciate you folks. Tap the screen. Wow, 107,000. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Let's try it again on the box. We'll go to. I was trying to find someone on the right. Because we do both sides. We don't have any issue with anyone stating their point. We don't block, ban, or censor. But I haven't heard one person that's really in favor of what the Republicans are doing in rejecting this bill. That's unusual. Normally we get a lot of folks on the right. We'll try it again. Good afternoon. I'm on the right, says Hunt for Truth. Yeah, but I haven't seen many folks in the box. Tony, good afternoon.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm on the right.
There we go. Why won't your side with this bill, even though it provides many of the provisions necessary to secure the border?
You know, I do understand a lot of people's frustration with the Republicans right now. But I also understand their side that it didn't take Biden going to Congress to get him to undo what was done by the previous president.
Okay.
That was working a lot better than what we've got now.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, we've got to get past this. We don't want to say anything bad about anybody coming across the border because we don't want to offend the ones that are actually good people. There's a lot of good people. I was actually raised by a man from Culiacan, Mexico that came over here the right way. And he instilled every bit of work ethic that I have in me. And I was born and raised in Southern California, not too far from San Diego, from the border. But the thing is that there are bad people coming across that border.
Okay.
There are Chinese coming across. There are, serious.
But wait a minute. So if what you're saying is true, and I don't doubt what you're saying, we see what happened in New York City with the police officer, and they're on mopeds robbing people. So we know there's some bad people coming across the border. I'm not denying that. So if we know that's the case, in both the Democrats and Republicans have worked together to come up with a bill that could, at the very least, limit the amount of folks coming to this country, make it harder to claim asylum, actually make it so that some folks wanting to claim asylum could not even come in the country because it would require you show proof that you're asking to claim asylum in America. Show me proof that you couldn't simply move to a different part of your country. That's in the bill. Why won't they agree with this?
But it also, now I haven't read the whole thing, but from what I'm hearing, I hear it also codifies catch and release.
No, that's not true. It actually eliminates catch and release. It actually states if you're caught entering the country illegally, you remain in supervised custody until they decide what they're going to do, either ship you back or you get to stay. But they actually keep you detained. That's in the bill.
Yeah, see, I told I'll be honest, I haven't completely read it. I've been working. But
okay.
The thing is a lot of Republicans that I know, we have no problem with legal immigration. We need people in this country. We need good people in this country. But the thing is, we also need to know who's coming to this country.
Yeah, but I'm not, listen.
We need to close the border and make it to where the only people that are getting in are the ones that we can monitor and we know who is.
Tony, but Tony,
in the last 3 years,
Tony, that's in the bill now. The stuff you're talking about, it's in the current bill. You got the bill that was authored by the Speaker of the House on the Republican side. Why are they? You got Mitch McConnell, the Senate minority leader. So you got the leading Republican senator, the leading Republican congressperson. You got the Border Patrol union that supported Trump, all saying this is a good bill. Why won't they take it? They made it. They co-authored this. Why won't they accept it?
Honestly, I don't know on that one. I do have my own frustrations within our party, as I'm sure, Democrats have their frustrations within their party. We all do. It's politics. At the end of the day, I don't trust any of them.
How do you feel about the claims that, let's say, Biden and many others are making, including Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, and some of the others, that although the bill is good, Trump has been contacting members of the GOP on the House and the Senate side, telling them that if you pass this bill, it will work for Biden. It will work against Trump's campaign. Therefore, don't do it if you want me back in office. How do you feel if that is true? What is your take on it?
If that is true, I think it's ridiculous to play politics with this kind of an issue.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to be honest with you, when it comes to Trump said or Trump did or Trump, it has been so false for so long that you get trust issues on, is he really saying it?
Well, that happened. But
Russia thing, after all this crap, it's just, you start to question reality, because I've watched so many clips that were made into falsehoods that when you watch the whole thing in context, it's just not true. And if the man was that bad, why do you have to make up so much? And why do you have to fabricate so much?
But Tony, that's politics. I mean, if Obama was that bad, why you got to make up stories that he was born in Kenya, or that Hillary Clinton drank infant blood? I mean, that's politics. Trump is not subjected to anything that other politicians. Folks are telling us Biden, who doesn't even know where he's at most of the time, according to folks, is actually abusing children. People make up bad things about you when you become president. That's not unique to Trump.
Absolutely, and I don't want to get too off topic with this. I know we're on the immigration thing, but you do start to see a two-tier justice as well when it comes to that side.
You got Trump in court giving out the address to the clerk with the judge telling them to stop, and he's like, screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway. You don't think Trump is enjoying the two-tier justice system? You think you and I could do that in court?
I think if Hunter Biden's last name was Trump, there'd be a whole different story.
That ain't what I asked you, though.
Suppressed for the election. I think it's been proven that, with the intelligence agents signing off on the laptop, blah, 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 all that, like I said, there's just, start to see a lot of things and you question, but on the immigration thing.
Wait, Tony, wait a minute. I asked you about how Trump was acting in court. You went to Hunter Biden, now you're an immigrant. You never answered the question.
I told you, if that's true about Trump, and the clerk part, yeah, that's just unnecessary, but at the same time, when you're if I was getting hit from that many sides on all this stuff, that in a lot of our opinions is political.
But Tony, the clerk is not a politician. The judge's clerk is a totally innocent victim. So because you're getting mistreated, you think the Democrats are mistreating you. That gives you the inspiration to go attack a totally innocent person.
Depends on your definition of innocent.
They're a clerk.
What's going on in that courtroom?
The person is a clerk.
The judge has had a predetermined out. He is a elected judge.
Okay.
Which means that clerk works for an elected judge, which I'm sure the conduct I've seen in that court from that judge, I think that judge is part of it.
Do you think that any judge is going to treat a defendant that acts like Trump in court? You think they're going to treat any of those folks fairly? Anybody that go to court that is criticizing a judge on social media and saying, do you think any judge would treat that person fairly?
If the judge was honest and saw it as a political move instead of an actual, that never should have been brought. That fraud case never should have been brought. That was that attorney general trying to make a name for herself, and she ran on, I'm going to get Trump.
Once again, I'd have to ask you.
There was no losses. Everybody was paid back, correct?
What does that mean? Just because there's no losses. So if I go rob a bank and give them the money back, nobody's lost anything, right?
But when people that were involved in the loan said there was nothing inflated, when it says at the bottom of the contract, these numbers are not to be trusted, do your own appraisal.
Here's where I don't get. Now, I agree with you that it apparently seems like the banks that loaned Trump money, even if Trump gave them fraudulent documents because he paid the loans back with interest, they don't care that he didn't tell the truth on the documents. I get that point because you're making a point it's a victimless crime. However, I could make that same counterpoint. If I go out and, give money to a sex worker, and we have an exchange. I use her for her services and let her go. She's fine. I paid her. She's not unhappy. I got what I wanted. Are you saying it should be legal because there was no victim?
So the difference is there's a victimless crime that has been prosecuted many times before.
What does that
This
mean?
is a victimless crime that has never been prosecuted in this way ever.
You started out talking about Hunter Biden. Wait.
Before an election.
You started out,
It's not political.
but you started out talking about Hunter Biden. You do realize he also is being charged with a victimless crime that's never been prosecuted. So what's the difference?
Depends on which crime you're talking about.
The one he's being charged with. The one he's being charged with is a victimless crime that no one has ever been prosecuted for a standalone gun charge when the gun was not used to commit any crime. No one has ever been prosecuted for that. He's the first one, and there is no victim in that.
No. I'm not saying. You're saying. Whoa. You're saying no one's ever been charged for lying on a gun form?
He lied on a gun form, got rid of the gun in a few days or whatever. There was no crime committed with the gun or anything. He's being charged simply for lying on the gun form. There's no victim in that. No victim.
But there have been many people charged for that same crime.
If I'm under the impression there's no one that has ever been charged for that as a standalone crime. If you're charged for lying on a gun application, it's usually in conjunction of something you did bad while you had the gun in your possession. They don't just come and get you for that alone.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I would actually agree with that.
All right. So Trump, as I stated earlier in our conversation, the stuff Trump is facing that he's complaining, that stuff is not unique to him. A lot of folks go into politics and everybody is after them. By the way, Trump was constantly saying Obama shouldn't be qualified because he was born in a foreign country. Trump never gave Obama a chance from day one. Now that it's happening to him, it's suddenly unique.
No, it'll always be that way. Republicans versus, well, I hope not, but it seems it'll always be that way. No matter who's in the White House, the opposite party is going to play all these games. And I'm not, honestly, I didn't even come in here to defend Trump.
Okay.
I'm saying I understand that side.
All right.
My point is, it doesn't take Biden Congress to fix the border. If he really wanted to fix the border, he absolutely could with executive order.
100% agree.
No problem doing them in the beginning of his presidency. If he really wanted to do something, he could do it. This
True.
is all political game.
No disagreement on that whatsoever. Biden, in my humble opinion, absolutely dropped the ball on the border, started with Kamala refusing to even go down there. But as you rightfully pointed out, he's not alone in playing politics. What they're doing right now on this bill, likely at the behest of Trump, shows that Republicans are not above doing the exact same thing. So it's coming from both sides. Tony, spirited conversation. Appreciate you coming through. Is this our first time talking?
Absolutely. I actually just hit you a follow today. I came across this. So.
Appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. My doors are always open to you. Good talk.
All right. Take care, man. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely. And by the way, folks, that is how the program is ran. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. So we don't censor, ban, or block anyone simply because they have a difference of opinion. The whole purpose of this is to show if we can have civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle in this tiny corner of social media, they can do the same shit in Washington. They're just not trying. But with this border bill, apparently some of them did, which is why we're discussing the notion that they would strike it down. Looking in the comments, not passing the bill is going to backfire on Republicans, says user. Before I go back to the box, and I appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen, bring me right on up to 120,000. Show your boy some love. Nearly 1,000 of you in here, so it's a pleasure having you here. In response to the statement the border bill is going to backfire on Republicans. There's no guarantee of that. However, I tend to agree that what the Republicans are doing by literally turning down at least probably 70% of what they want in this bill in regards to securing the border, understand that if Trump does not win in November, remember, we already think, folks on the right, my beloved MAGA, we already think that Biden does not want to do anything about the border. Yet here's a bill where you're getting about 70% of what you want. He's already agreed to sign it. So if Trump does not win in November, you think you're going to get this bill again? Just understand when my viewer in the comments said this could backfire on Republicans. If Trump loses in November, there could come a time when you're begging to get this bill back. Remember, it's not 100%. I get it. 5,000 immigrants allowed to come in per day when you want the number to be 0. I understand that totally. But remember, negotiations is about negotiating. It's not about my way or the highway. You got to give up some stuff. You want the immigrant number to be 0. You want the migrants in the country to go home. You want the money given to the Ukraine to completely disappear, along with Israel. That's not a negotiation, folks. That is my way or the highway. You're getting a lot that you want in the bill. Most of this bill goes against what we know Biden stands for. You're getting more on the right than on the left. But you're pushing for all or nothing. I want Trump because Trump will give us 100% of what we want. If you get Trump, that is likely true. But if you don't, you're going to go from 70 to 0 real quick. Remember, if Biden wins again, he doesn't have to worry about being reelected. There's no need to work with you anymore. So this could absolutely backfire. Just keep that in mind. You're going all or nothing here. You're rolling the dice. If you hit a 7, it's time to leave the casino. Looking in the box, 17% to the U.S. border, 118 billion, mostly to foreign nations. I'll submit to you, the money going to foreign nations should be taken with a grain of salt. Here's why. If the Ukraine continues punching back with Russia, now Ukraine's never going to outright defeat Russia, but they are seriously hurting them, blood, treasure, and in terms of military assets. Shooting down aircraft, destroying ships and things like that. Severely weakening Russia as a superpower. That is worth money in the bank to America. One of our biggest adversaries suddenly significantly reduced in power. That is worth money. If Russia is weakened, that could lead to the Ukraine increasing their import-export market that they used to have, wheat, natural gas, and things like that. If they get that back, you don't think we're going to have our hands out? Remember those favors we done? 20% off top. You would get the money back. You would get the money back. You may even get another member of NATO, which now gives you complete access to Russia. Don't get so focused on the battle that you lose sight of the war. That's all I'm saying. A stronger Russia is not good for America. There's a lengthy history going all the way back to Stalin that shows that is not a good idea. You got Zelensky in your back pocket from now until he dies if they win. Focus on that. You could use it. It's a get out of jail free card. It's literally a chip in your pocket for eternity for the money you're giving up now. Think about it. Look at it in the comments. Well said, handsome. I appreciate that. And Trump would have Russia be the winning side. I don't see any upside of Russia defeating the Ukraine for America. Russia's already working with China. Russia's already working with Syria. Why the hell would you want Putin to be victorious? All of our NATO member states in the region are not happy with a stronger Russia. Why would Trump want that? Other than maybe a personal friendship. Why would he want that? Going back to the box. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. Not as many on YouTube smashing that like button, but I do appreciate the number of you that are indeed tuned in. But for you folks on YouTube, smash that like button. Looking in the comments, or better yet, looking in the box, Trump 2024 3D printing. That is one hell of a name. Why won't folks on the right agree to the bill that they co-authored? Trump 2024. Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Cool. So, I mean, with the bill, this is all games. The whole politician system is just a game. And it'd be nice to let the bill go through and get things settled, but would it really get it settled? I mean, the way everything is worded is where it's like a manipulation game.
Explain, elaborate. What do you mean? What do you mean the way it's worded? Give me some explanation.
So even in the wording, it says, you know, like when he feels as if it's too much. It's not like a definite yes.
Not him, but wait, but hold on. 2024. Hold on. What's the language in the bill says? If too many people come across the border, Border Patrol themselves can shut the border down without authorization. It's not Biden. They get the power to do it themselves. Is that not a good thing?
But are they gonna? Are they gonna do it though? Because all right, so say if 20,000 people show up and they're only gonna let 5,000 through, where are those rest of the people gonna sit and wait? And then it's going to clump up and clump up and clump up. And then you have a massive group of people coming in at 5,000 at a time.
So are we arguing? Well, hang on. Are we arguing that the bill is bad? Or are we arguing that the Border Patrol wouldn't actually use the power that would be given to them through the bill?
Say it again.
Are we arguing that the bill is bad, or are we arguing that if the bill gives Border Patrol significant powers to shut the border down, they won't do it anyway?
I think the bill's bad. I think 100% the bill's bad just because of the other stuff involved. But
Give me some examples. Give me some examples of the other stuff.
So we do not need to send money to anybody right now. We need to take care of Maui. We need to take care of the people that are here, the immigrants that are here at the moment. Like, look at what's happening. They're all everywhere, and you're sending how much money across the ocean?
So
why don't we take care of what's here first?
So you're okay. Let me make sure I get this clear. If we stop sending money to Ukraine, who's actively at war with Russia, what do you think would happen to the Ukraine?
See, that's where, again, we're tied into all this stuff that we probably should have never been tied into. Trump had a good relation going with Russia. There would have been no wars right now if Biden didn't get elected.
That's possibly true, but we're in this. We're talking in February 2024. We can't go back in time. Right now, if we stop sending money to the Ukraine, what happens?
See, that's the thing is why...
what happens?
Again, we need to have somebody sit down and fix it. That's the thing is we have to stop the war. That's what it really comes down to.
How?
Things have to work together.
How? What are we going to do?
What are the problems? Why is it that fucking Russia wants Ukraine so bad? Why is it that Russia and Ukraine can't work together?
Because the Ukraine is now siding with the United States. Russia don't want a NATO member state on their border. So they're not...
Why do we still have NATO, though? NATO should have been dismantled as soon as freaking the Russian thing changed. That was the whole point of NATO, was just to fight, whatchamacallit, the USSR.
So if you, let's say, for instance, let's take it back to the old days of street gangs. You get bullied in school, a bunch of you guys team up, form a gang so nobody messes with you. So you're telling me once the bully graduates, you break up the gang? There may be new bullies. I mean, why would you break up a unified block of countries?
Bullies? Why don't we have the people that protect the other people from the bullies? And that's not what we're doing. And that's what we say we do, but that's not what we're doing.
So you believe NATO, since once the Soviet Union broke up, you think NATO should have broke up too?
I think that something different should be there than NATO. Something should be something as we the people. Not all these people trying to be leaders. We have the technology to where we can now start voting on things in masses. There's no reason we have to have these people doing these things for us. That's my vision.
I don't get what you mean. What do you mean these people? I don't get that.
Like, we have these leaders that have agendas that are making decisions for us.
Okay.
And we don't really need that anymore. We have the technology to where we could spread out like we do with social media and have voting rings to be able to start making decisions that matter, rather than giving these small group of people all this big power. And again, it's something that would take a long time to develop, but it's something has to start happening. Like, we just keep tying ourselves more and more and twisting into things that are just, destroying the world.
Okay,
And what I
that's
liked about Trump, let's just go off of this. What I liked about Trump is he stands for one person that's not a politician, stepped up there to show us that things need to change. No, but not many people were paying attention as much as they are now until Trump stepped up. And that's what I see as.
I don't, you know something. I have a hard time with that because I think most folks, going all the way back to the Kennedy assassination, certainly in the African American community, going back to Martin Luther King, I think folks have always known the government is corrupt. I don't think Trump exposed
Absolutely.
that. People have always known that. I mean,
I think Trump was finally the first politician to step up and say, "Look, we can change this." I'm not a politician. I just became president.
yeah,
That's
but
people don't look at that completely in the sense they should. They
Well-
should see that we don't need politicians.
well, and I don't disagree with the message, but I do have a problem with the messenger. If you are doing the things that Trump was doing, the tweets, the insults,
Yeah.
you may have a good message. Ain't nobody gonna pay attention to it when you're acting like him.
Absolutely, I do agree about that, and it's kind of because I come off rough too, because I'm getting used to being more like on social media, so I'm trying to lighten up also. But I do 100% agree, and I saw Trump in New Hampshire here, and it was amazing, man. Everybody, I brought my 3D printed Trump stuff. Everybody loved it. Like it's fun. And if I went to a Biden thing, I could feel like, and that's what I go off of. I go off of vibrations, body language, eye movement. That's what I see more than what somebody's saying. I'm dyslexic as hell. I have a hard time with words, but I'm really good with sounds and vibrations. And that's what I start to see. And I'm not trying to be this, oh, I love Trump, but it's like, what I'm doing with my business is trying to get people to get away from big businesses, do what they want to do from the heart, design what they want to design. And Trump just represents somebody that was able to disrupt the system to show we need change.
But when it comes to disrupting the system, I have to bring up January 6th. Trump claims the election was stolen from him, and we're 3 years
I do
out.
think that was so. And again, it's one of those. There's so much now coming out to where we're seeing so much shady things.
I haven't,
happening
but listen,
around
but
tickets.
wait, Trump, 2024.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything that suggests Trump won by a landslide. Trump didn't say, listen, there's improprieties going on. We need to investigate what's going on. No, he said he won by a landslide. I have not.
No, I know. And
Right.
I wish somebody else than Trump was there, in my opinion. I do. But we have Trump. We don't have any other choice. Just like you got.
What about Nikki Haley? What about Nikki Haley?
Nikki Haley is, I don't believe. Explain where your wealth came from. That's all I would ask.
Maybe her father.
Explain
Maybe
how
her
you
father.
made that. Explain
Maybe
how
her
you
father
made
lent her $1 million.
to $8 million in the bank without using us. That's why I don't like politicians. They're only about. They have so much anxiety about taking care of their families that they use us. We need people that don't have that anxiety, that they feel like they have to take care of themselves first before us. And it's hard because, I know I sound kind of like a hippie, but there's got to be a way to blend technology.
Why not Mike? Why did Mike Pence do so bad? He was from the administration. He doesn't have all of that bombastic history. Why didn't you go with Mike Pence?
I mean, again, I follow just vibrations and eyes. I like to see how people talk. I like to hear how you talk. I believe everything you were saying to me right now. When I see 99% of these people, I don't believe them.
You don't believe? You think Mike Pence is lying?
I feel like everybody has that other agenda.
And you don't see Trump as having it. Wait. You don't. You look at. I appreciate the accolades you presented to me. Thank you. But in regards to you don't trust Haley, I get it. A lot of folks don't. But Mike Pence, when you say you work on vibration, you see Trump as honest more than Mike Pence.
I see Trump as a leader. I see Trump as somebody that can help actually bring. I know he's rough, but again, he sat with North Korea. He sat with Russia. He sat with our enemies, and he did hold out a hand, hold out that branch. He was the only president to ever do that, not bring us to war. And it's kind of hard that people don't see at least that fact of it. They would rather just be so, fed of that you have to hate Trump because we tell you to hate Trump.
I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point. But I'll tell you what, when I mentioned him, his bombastic nature, if I saw you bench press 500 pounds in front of me, I would be very impressed. But if you were bench pressing 500 pounds and while at the same time you were doing it, you looked me in the eye and said, I bet your weak ass couldn't do this. I'm not impressed anymore. And that's the problem, is that Trump goes and meets with these people and he ruins it by the things that's coming out of his mouth.
Oh, I do. I absolutely agree with that. And it's one of those, you know, you kind of have to deal with what you got. You wish you could control the situation more, but none of us really can. And that's what kind of sucks is like all of us as single individuals don't really have an ability to do anything. The more of all of us as the people work together, we can take back the system and like try to make it work for us rather than them.
Well, that starts with who you vote in power. If you want us all to work together, let me ask you that. You're talking about a community. You're talking about working together to take over the system. Do you see Trump as the leader that could unite us all?
I see Trump as the beginning steps to somebody to help solve a lot of the problems that are actually threatening.
I'm talking about Trump 2024. I'm talking about unity. Do you see unity coming out of Trump?
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one who sat down with all those people.
I'm not talking about sitting down with Kim Jong-un. I'm talking about sitting down with Democrats and liberals.
Oh, I would love for that to happen, but at the same time, we have to audit the whole system. Us, the people, have to audit all of them. They have to freeze assets. We need to actually vote in a team that could actually audit these people. Just like a business.
You don't need you don't need to do all that for Trump to have a seat with a Democrat. You don't need to audit anybody.
Even both Democrats and Republicans. The whole system needs to be frozen and audited.
But
we need to see what happened to all this money.
Okay, we need to see. But I'm talking about unity. You're talking about a different subject when it comes to auditing for money and things like that.
We're never going to get unity with people that are tied into so many corrupt things that they can't get out of. That's the thing. They're stuck. I get it. They can't even do it because they've tied themselves to the point where they will probably go to jail if they were ever to be forthcoming.
Last question. Speaking of going to jail, 91 charges, 4 different jurisdictions, a host of felonies. Do you think Trump will be convicted of any of that?
You know what? I honestly think maybe it could happen, but do you think this is really what the point was, or was it to stop him from being president?
I think you could probably do both simultaneously. It may be both.
But what was really the goal? Because all of this could have happened. Most of this could have happened besides the election stuff, but like all this money stuff, that could have happened at any time. Why did it have to happen now?
Because I'll explain that. The same reason why I could apply this to a host of things. Why all of a sudden did Hillary Clinton's alleged crimes take place? Why is Hunter Biden? Because you're running for president. People are going to, you think they would have been talking about Barack Obama being born in Kenya if he didn't run for president?
None of them were tied into court. None of them were physically stopped from actually being able to participate in the election.
Because they couldn't find anything to do with. Trump made it clear. Trump made it, hang on a second. Trump made it clear he sent people to Kenya to look into Obama's background. The only reason it didn't happen because they couldn't find anything. You think Hillary Clinton didn't go before Congress or didn't get locked up because they decided to let her go? If they could have found something, they would have done it. With Trump, they did find something.
That's why this is not how our system should be running. Us, the people, should not be allowing this to happen. Like, if we're going to have leaders, this should not be a game.
Then let me ask you this. If you believe you shouldn't be locking up your opponents or using the system to go against your opposition, how do you feel about folks yelling, "Lock her up," referencing Hillary Clinton when she had never been charged with a single crime? They're demanding she be locked up with no due process. How do you feel about that?
I don't like that.
Okay.
No, I don't like that crowd of people having to make like a decision like that. Like, find what's happening. Be transparent. If you have nothing to hide, there's no reason, especially in that line of work, everything should be transparent.
And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that when we look at Trump and say he was being treated unfairly and folks are after him, it sucks to use him as the messenger when I can come up with all of these cases where he was doing the same thing to other people. Remember, if you plead the fifth, you got something to hide, you work for the mob, as if you don't have Fifth Amendment rights from birth. He's done the same thing to other people.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree completely. And I know he's done shady things as a businessman, but the point comes down to we don't have any other choice. And again, I like Trump for other reasons. If I ever found out it was something serious to the point he did something I really disagree with, I would turn my back. But honestly, there's not been something like that. And that's honest.
Well, I got to move it on, but if you don't see anything that I just stated as things you really disagree with, I don't think you're going to find anything else. 2024 Trump, I love the name. Anytime, doors open to you. Come on back
All
through.
right, man. I'll see you later.
Absolutely appreciate it. And for you folks tapping the screen, I do appreciate the 133,000 likes. You know how we do the program. It is always will be, always have been MAGA friendly, shall be that way in its entirety forever and ever. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. Real quick, if you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host blocking, banning, or censoring you for your opinion, follow the program because you are in the right place. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. We're here. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I gotta go. See you later. YouTube, a hell of a lot more of you on here today. I do appreciate that. I didn't get to as many of your comments today, but I do appreciate you folks. A few of you smashed the like button. Not as many as I would have wanted, but I do appreciate the fact that, we got 60 plus of you in here, and the numbers were actually pretty high today for what we normally have in here. So I do appreciate that. Monday through Friday, if this is what you enjoy, come on back through. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I will see you tomorrow.